In 1901, sponge divers found a machine that shouldn't exist. It predicted eclipses 2,000 years before calculators were invented. Nothing this advanced appears again in history for 1,400 years. Scientists are still decoding it using gravitational wave technology today. This isn't science fiction, it's a real bronze object. It sat on the ocean floor for over 2 millennia. Inside it, at least 30 interlocking gears, precisely hand-cut. Some teeth are smaller than a grain of rice. The ancient Greeks built a working analog computer. And then humanity forgot how to build one again. Today you'll see exactly how this machine worked. You'll learn why it terrified historians for a century. You'll discover what it predicted with eerie accuracy, and why its existence rewrites the timeline of technology. This device modeled the sun, the moon, and 5 planets. It tracked a 19-year cycle the Babylonians discovered by watching stars. One machine, one crank, an entire simulated cosmos. Archaeologists initially ignored it for months after discovery. They thought it was just corroded scrap metal. Then it cracked open and gears fell out. No one in 1901 believed ancient Greeks could build this. For decades, experts assumed the fragments were misattributed. X-ray scans in 2005 finally proved them wrong. In 2024, physicists used black hole detection methods to study it. They found 354 precisely spaced holes in one broken ring. Each hole was placed within 1/3 of a millimeter. That's tighter tolerance than most people can measure by eye. By the end of this video, you'll understand why. Stay with me because the real mystery is still unsolved. Let's open the box that changed technological history. Spring, 1900. Sponge divers shelter from a violent Aegean storm. Near the island of Antikythera, between Crete and mainland Greece. When the storm passed, they dove for sponges as usual. Instead, they found a shipwreck packed with ancient treasure. Bronze statues, glassware, jewelry, furniture, a Roman-era cargo ship. The Greek Navy guarded the site to stop looters. This became history's first major underwater archaeology operation. Divers worked in primitive gear at dangerous depths. One diver died from decompression sickness during the recovery. Among the treasures, an unremarkable corroded lump of bronze. It sat in the National Archaeological Museum, mostly ignored. Months later, the lump split apart on its own. Inside were tiny gear wheels, roughly the size of coins. No one expected precision gears in an ancient Greek wreck. Gearwork like this wasn't supposed to exist for centuries. Archaeologist Valerios Stais first noticed the gear embedded in rock. He suspected it was some kind of astronomical instrument. Most historians dismiss the idea as simply impossible. The prevailing belief: ancient Greeks lacked this engineering capability. For decades, the object sat as an unsolved curiosity. Today, only 1/3 of the original device survives. It's split into 82 separate fragments, corroded and cracked. Researchers label them by letters and numbers, like puzzle pieces. Piecing it together became a century-long forensic investigation. In 1951, physicist Derek de Solla Price took up the case. He spent 2 decades trying to map its inner gears. In 1971, Price used early gamma-ray imaging to peer inside. He revealed a gear train far more complex than assumed. But the technology of the time still couldn't resolve details. In 2005, a breakthrough: high-resolution X-ray computed tomography. A team led by Tony Freeth scanned every fragment in 3D. Suddenly, hidden inscriptions and gear teeth became visible. Thousands of tiny Greek characters were found engraved inside. These inscriptions functioned like an ancient user's manual. They described lunar cycles, planetary motion, and eclipse timing. The scans revealed at least 30 surviving bronze gears. Full reconstructions estimate the original held 37 or more. The device fits inside a wooden case the size of a shoebox. Roughly 34 by 18 by 9 centimeters, according to reconstructions. A crank on the side turned the entire mechanism. Every dial and pointer moved in perfect mechanical sync. The complexity stunned engineers used to modern machinery. Nothing this intricate turns up again until medieval clockwork. That's a gap of well over 1,000 years. Some researchers call it the world's first analog computer. Others argue that title undersells what it actually did. It wasn't just calculating, it modeled reality in motion. The 2024 Antikythera shipwreck excavation is still uncovering artifacts. Researchers now believe the ship's cargo was even larger. The mystery of who built this machine remains unresolved. Picture the front face, a dial shaped like a clock. One ring displayed the zodiac, tracking the sun's yearly path. A second ring displayed the Egyptian 365-day calendar. Beneath both sat a hidden calendar ring for the moon. The 2024 Glasgow study zeroed in on this exact ring. Researchers used statistical tools built for gravitational wave detection. They analyzed the tiny, evenly spaced holes beneath the ring. Their conclusion: the ring almost certainly held 354 holes. That matches a 354-day lunar calendar, not the solar year. The holes were positioned with startling mechanical precision. Average spacing error, just 0.028 millimeters between each hole. That precision rivals what modern machining tools can achieve. Now flip to the back of the device. Two large spiral dials dominate the rear face. The upper spiral tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle. That cycle syncs 235 lunar months to 19 solar years. Ancient Babylonians discovered this ratio through centuries of skywatching. The Greeks inherited that knowledge and mechanized it in bronze. A smaller dial nearby tracked the 4-year Olympiad cycle. It literally counted down to the next Olympic Games. The lower spiral tracked the 223-month Saros eclipse cycle. This let the device predict solar and lunar eclipses. A tiny rotating symbol likely marked each predicted eclipse type. Some markings even hinted at the eclipse's expected color. Underneath it all sat pin and slot gearing for lunar speed. This mechanism modeled the moon's elliptical, uneven orbit. It replicated a discovery credited to astronomer Hipparchus. The moon doesn't move at constant speed across the sky. The gearing physically encoded that irregularity into motion. One small sphere, painted half black and half white, showed lunar phases. As gears turned, the sphere rotated to match the real moon. This wasn't guesswork. It was orbital mechanics in metal. A 2021 UCL study proposed gearing for all 5 known planets. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn all had dedicated dials. Each planet's gear ratio matched Greek astronomical period tables. Inscriptions found through X-ray scanning described these planetary periods. Researchers used those exact numbers to test gear ratios. The proposed gear train produced remarkably accurate planetary positions. No completed planetary section survives to confirm the theory fully, but the mathematics fits astonishingly well with known Greek astronomy. Turning one crank moved dozens of interconnected components simultaneously. It was a physical simulation of the entire known cosmos. Every gear ratio had to be mathematically exact to function. One wrong tooth count would throw off years of predictions. The device required design skill on par with an astronomer, and craftsmanship skill on par with a master metalworker. Few civilizations combined both skill sets at this level. That combination is exactly why the device seems so improbable. It's not one invention, it's dozens working in concert. Understanding it required rebuilding centuries of lost engineering knowledge. Here's the real puzzle: nothing this advanced exists before it. And nothing comparable exists again for well over 1,000 years. European mechanical astronomical clocks don't appear until the 1300s. That leaves a staggering technological gap in the historical record. So did the Greeks build only one of these ever? Ancient texts suggest otherwise, and that's the unsettling part. The Roman writer Cicero described a similar device firsthand. He credited it to the astronomer Archimedes, centuries earlier. Archimedes died in 212 BCE, decades before this device's likely origin. That implies a tradition of building these machines existed. If true, the Antikythera Mechanism wasn't a lone genius's fluke. It may have been a known, if rare, technology, possibly manufactured in a workshop tradition we haven't found. Some researchers link its design to astronomer Hipparchus of Rhodes. Others point to the island of Rhodes as a production hub. Rhodes was known in antiquity for advanced mechanical engineering. The ship carrying the device was likely traveling from there. If a workshop existed, where are the other machines? Bronze was valuable and routinely melted down for reuse. Most ancient bronze artifacts were eventually recycled, not preserved. The Antikythera Mechanism survived only because it sank underwater. Everything above the waterline from that era got melted long ago. That means countless similar devices may simply be gone. We may only know about this one by pure chance. That thought alone should change how we view ancient history. The knowledge and skill required didn't vanish overnight, historians argue. It likely faded gradually, lost through wars, fires, and time. The Roman Empire's collapse disrupted craft traditions across the Mediterranean. Complex technical knowledge often dies when its practitioners do. Without written manuals passed down, entire skills can disappear. This mechanism proves technological progress isn't always a straight line. Civilizations can lose knowledge just as easily as gain it. That idea unsettles our modern assumption of constant advancement. It also proves ancient astronomy was far more mathematical than assumed. The Greeks weren't just philosophers gazing thoughtfully at stars. They were engineers translating astronomical math into working machines. Modern replicas have tested and validated much of this theory. A bronze replica shown in Australia in 2024 helped researchers. It let conservators study how corroded parts would have moved. A university team built 9 different reconstructions across research phases. Each version incorporated newly discovered inscriptions and gear ratios. It's essentially peer review conducted through metal and motion. Every new scan technology gets pointed at this device. Gamma rays, X-ray tomography, now gravitational wave statistics. Each method reveals slightly more of what remains hidden. Roughly 2/3 of the original mechanism is still missing. That means major discoveries about it are likely still ahead. The 2024 shipwreck excavation may yet reveal more fragments. Every dive season adds new pieces to this 125-year puzzle. The full story of this machine still isn't finished being told. So what does a 2,000-year-old machine actually prove? It proves ancient engineering was smarter than we ever assumed. It proves complex technology can vanish without a trace. It proves history isn't a straight climb toward progress. Sometimes brilliance appears early and then gets lost entirely. The Antikythera Mechanism sat unrecognized for over 60 years. Even experts initially failed to grasp what they'd found. It took X-rays, CT scans, and modern physics to decode it. And we still haven't found the missing 2/3. Somewhere more fragments may still be sitting on the seafloor. Or more devices like it may be waiting to be found. Every new excavation season could rewrite this story again. This isn't ancient history, it's an active investigation. Physicists, archaeologists, and engineers are still racing to solve it. The next major discovery could happen within the next few years. If this blew your mind, you're not alone. Historians have been quietly stunned by this device for decades. It challenges everything we assume about ancient capability. It's proof that curiosity and precision aren't modern inventions. The ancient Greeks encoded the cosmos into spinning bronze gears. 2,000 years later, we're still catching up to them. If you want the deep dive on the planetary gears, stay tuned. I'm covering the UCL reconstruction theory in a future video. Subscribe if you want to see where this mystery goes next. Drop a comment. What ancient technology should I cover next? This channel exists to hunt down stories exactly like this one. Real research, real mysteries, no exaggeration required. The truth here is already stranger than fiction. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. The bronze cosmos is still turning, one discovery at a time.